All right, hi everyone. This is Mike Wall of process2perform.com, and today we're looking at 5 steps to total athlete development. We're going to give away some of the trade secrets of the top athletes in the world to help you supercharge the development of your athlete. Now, this webinar is for parents of high-performing, aspiring athletes who have ambitions of college scholarships or pro contracts. So, if your athlete wants not only to reach, but to excel at the next level, then this webinar is definitely for you. In the next 45 minutes, we're going to cover how to help your athlete dramatically improve their on-field performance so they can finally perform at their best and chase their best every single time out. We're going to give them the tools to increase their confidence and increase their focus while maintaining their own personal style. We're going to stop worrying about the next step, the scholarships and the contracts. And we're going to make sure they continue to have a healthy, loving relationship with their sport, even as the stakes continue to rise. We're going to teach your athlete how to supercharge their progress by balancing their lifestyle. And we're going to do all this while creating habits that will distance your athlete from the competition and earn them the recognition they so deeply desire. Bottom line, guys, by the end of this webinar, my promise to you is that you will have a step-by-step blueprint on how to transform your athlete into an elite level performer who's capable of reaching their goals of college scholarships or pro contracts. And guys, this isn't to say that every athlete out there is going to make it just because you watch a webinar. It is a super competitive industry. But I promise you, we will teach you exactly what it takes if you and your athlete are willing to put in the work. I want to start by putting together some house rules because I do want you to get the most out of our time together. Number one, I'm sure you know this is not easy. Making it in the sports world is not easy. It's a very, very competitive environment. And we are going to help your athlete simplify and stack win after win after win. But achieving more, getting to the next level, there isn't just a magic wand that we can wave around in the air. It takes hard work, focus, and effort. It takes a ton of dedication. And because of that, number two, this isn't for everybody. And we're going to hand over proprietary methods so that you and your athlete can benefit and your athlete can reach their ceiling. But in order to do that, you have to bring your passion. You have to bring your passion today in this webinar, and it has to carry through in your ability to be that foundational piece for your athlete. Now, everyone, I've been so fortunate to work with athletes from professionals to preteens and some really, really extraordinary individuals with resolve and determination and just supreme ownership of what they're trying to accomplish, because that's what it takes. And so some of my results and my clients' results, they're not typical. It takes a lot of work to get where we want to go, but I promise you it's totally worth it. So before we get into my process to perform, let's take a temperature check. Does any of the following sound familiar? Does your athlete talk about playing in college or even at the pro level, but you get anxious because you think it's so difficult and it's so far away that they probably won't make it? Are you afraid that your athlete is going to fall behind if they don't play on the top team or if they don't get the best trainer in town? Are you secretly concerned that they're going to be crushed down the road because they just don't have what it takes to make it and they've dedicated all this time and effort into their favorite sport? Have you started ever working with trainers or multiple coaches only to realize they're not teaching your kids anything different than anybody else down the road? And they got you stuck in this payment in perpetuity model. Do you see young athletes whose parents can afford multiple coaches, can afford multiple trainings, and they just seem to have this natural advantage over your athlete, and you just wish that your kid had that too? Does your athlete get discouraged because the distance from here to where they want to go just seems so far away? Bottom line, guys, do you want to give them the best chance to be successful, but you're not sure that you have the right tools to get the job done? These are the problems that many sports parents face, and the good news is that they're not real problems. They're just symptoms of a more important issue that we have all been too comfortable dealing with. The real problem is that you haven't made the shifts. And we're going to talk about the shifts in a moment, but know for now, just know that once you make them, once you make those shifts, you will love that your athlete has become a stronger athlete, a more confident player, a player that can focus every time they step on the field. Your athlete will have a tremendous plan to achieve however far they really want to go without being overstressed or overwhelmed, over being anxious. Every practice will build on the last. You'll be amazed at the progression, and coaches will call you and say, I can't believe the rate of progression your athletes have in these few short months. Because they're going to have the tools to stay present during practice, during their studies, and during time with their family. And they're going to do all of this while knowing that their success is not tied to someone else. Now, I was lucky enough to play 11 years in the National Football League. I've been in the sport for over 15 years. I was the first skill development specialist in NFL history, and I work with athletes from professional down to preteen and maximizing their output through enhanced mental, technical, and lifestyle processes. Now, everyone wants a story slide, but the truth is this platform is an accumulation of a ton of successes and failures that I experienced both personally and through my teammates and people I worked with over the last 25 years. When confrontation is part of the competition, the stakes are higher. And when the stakes are higher, you start to see these patterns form in those who are the most successful. And I'm not talking about the best athletes. I'm talking about the best pros. The majority of them have something in common. They have the perspective of time. And so as they develop, they continue to refine their mindset. They continue to refine their technical mastery. And they continue to refine the decisions they make in their lifestyle to give them the best opportunity for success. And the earlier this happens, the earlier they come to grips with what they really need to work on, the higher the ceiling is for any given athlete, and the healthier their relationship is with their sport. Now, I spent years designing and refining a tool set that every athlete needs to maximize their success, and these are the 5 shifts in the way we think about our careers. This is what I call my process to perform. And those athletes who embrace the 5 shifts, they've done incredibly well. And those that don't, well, they continue to struggle with consistency. They continue to struggle with motivation. And more often than not, guys, it's just too tough a road. And I'm going to walk you through all 5 of them during this session. And here's the first thing we have to address. Number 1, and I promise we're going to get to the good stuff, but I need to get your mind thinking about why we are all really here. If you want to build your dream house on the bluff, picture it. You want to build your dream house on the bluff. It has to have a strong foundation. And this is the concept that you have to understand. The athletes must take total ownership of their careers as soon as possible. And they need a champion. And that champion is going to be you. And right now, you're risking their success on a model that does not work for most athletes. Is your athlete the biggest, fastest, strongest kid on the block? If they are and you're willing to put them in the athlete funnel, then take your chances. Put them in the athlete funnel. See what comes out the other end. But if they're not that at this moment, at 12, at 14, at 16, if they're not that, don't buy into that model. That model does not work for everyone. Athletes who are late bloomers, athletes who haven't hit their stride yet, they fade away. They look back at their sports career with disdain. They look back with regret. Guys, we're not finished products until we decide to retire. Look at Tom Brady. Look at the Super Bowl this year. Look at all the players that played in the entirety of the Super Bowl. There was one 5-star athlete. There was one athlete that was designated as a middle schooler and a high schooler as being the top athlete in his area, a 5-star athlete. The rest of them, most of them, were 3 stars and below, meaning they're just above average. We're not finished products. And worse yet, those elite athletes that go into the funnel and get whittled down, most of them don't make it. And they don't make it because they don't have the heart or the desire. That's not why they're missing out. They don't make it because they're not given the skills while in that funnel to individually develop, because in that funnel, team development and winning trumps individual development. And so what do we do, guys? We pass along our kids to these trainers to solve all of their problems, but it doesn't happen. Trainers put your athletes in cookie-cutter programs based on retention. They want to get the most athletes they can in the door, and they're giving them the same one-page solution. What your athlete needs is the confidence that comes from owning their process. And that is their real superpower. And the best part is, we can develop it. If you want it, you have to take it. Parents, we fall into this cycle because it's accepted. It's like common knowledge. It's like trying to put out a fire at your house and you're waiting for somebody else to bring the hose. Help is not on the way. If you want it, you have to take it. And if you can help them take it, if you can help them take ownership, they're going to be more confident, more driven, and more focused athletes. Athletes are going to have a healthier relationship with sports. Athletes are going to have a healthier relationship with their performances. They're going to have an increased rate of on-field improvement. Bottom line, they will have the best chance of reaching their goals. And how do you do that? How do we speed up our race to ownership? By embracing our process. Outcome-based teaching trains our athletes to value themselves on metrics that they don't understand and they certainly cannot always control. The best athletes in the world anticipate what will happen next, and they do this because they have a process that allows them to focus on their surroundings, and they learn from every experience, win or lose. If you're learning off an outcome-based method, you feel bad when you lose and you feel great when you win. That's not how we improve. Win or learn, or win and learn, as I like to say. But either way, the biggest impact that you're going to have on your athlete is putting them in a consistent position to be successful. Control what you can control. We always hear about the score. We always hear about the outcome. We take statistics out of context. And this athlete that's living by that model, they only understand winning or losing. Maybe their coaches look at statistics without context. These are misleading indicators of success. I call this hindsight coaching. And almost everybody out there is guilty of it because your coaches get paid to win or to recruit paying athletes. They don't get paid to develop your athletes. With outcome-based coaching, your athlete's never going to learn how to solve their own issues because they really don't understand what the underlying problem is. You stick with this model and every experience is going to be based largely on other people, especially in team sports because every other player can have a direct or indirect impact on your athlete's outcome. So instead, focus on the factors in your life that you can improve on that are going to have the biggest impact on their careers. See if you're doing them now. Think about your mental. Think about your technical and your lifestyle choices. Control what you can control. Studies show that shifting your mindset away from outcomes and focusing on process can improve performance by over 20%. 20%, that's a huge number. So stop worrying about the destination. People who only have the finish line in sight, they miss the rock in the road. And they also can't see that next bigger, better race, the one that's just right past the current finish line. In 2020, it was a tough year for a lot of high school athletes because seniors didn't get a chance in California, at least, to put tape together for college scouts. In football in particular is something that I'm near and dear to my heart. So Matt joined us with no opportunities at that point. He had very little direction in terms of where he was going to go, what he was going to do. Not a lot of help from his school. They didn't have any tape, no real chance of someone to notice him. But despite being despondent, he was willing to work and he's willing to take coaching. He had very supportive parents. We got together, we transformed his body, we upgraded his technique, we changed what he was doing and turned our process into his lifestyle. And we demonstrated both to potential landing spots through the power of the internet. And within months of starting his own process to perform, Matt had multiple scholarship offers. He won MVP at the biggest talent combine in Southern California. And he's now on his way to taking over the starting job in his as a full ride scholarship athlete next season. And these things happen because people stop feeling sorry for themselves or they stop feeling vulnerable and they start making choices that take them to higher levels than they once thought possible. Now, what exactly are these people doing, though? What is so different? And guys, now we're getting to the good stuff. Now, if you want to still stick around and wait for others to give your athlete the answers based off of outcomes of a game or outcomes of practice, remember, regret is the worst thing we have to live with, and it's definitely the worst thing we can pass along to our kids. So instead, give them the tools they need to excel and the tools they need to rise to the level that they're absolutely willing to work towards. And what they need is a development platform that addresses the crucial aspects of their careers and carries over into the rest of their lives. Now, if you want to do the old way, if you want to stay in the same lane, all you need is to go find that athlete funnel with the biggest, fastest, strongest athletes. Maybe it's a pay-to-play system, or you go pay that personal trainer in perpetuity while I put you in that cookie cutter program. You go to your coach and they're talking about it's more about team development than individual development. And if you want to get better, you got to do all the extra on your own. You're waiting around for expert advice. You're not being an active owner in your own career. You're being a passive owner. So all your training sessions, everything you're doing at your house, they're erratic, they're indiscriminate. And you're saying, Mike, I hear you, but my athlete is working. He's working hard. She's working hard. She's the hardest worker on the team. I get that. But practicing without purpose is just working. It's not working smart. Does this make sense? Teams and trainers across America are filled with black box training methods and black box schemes that are designed to overcomplicate some of the simplest ideas we have. They do it so we won't question their methods. We'll keep sending them our athletes. We'll keep sending them our money. But if this all really worked, we'd see a much higher level of overall play. And the truth is, we don't need to wait for ideas or hope your athlete's being taught the right stuff. Whatever level your athlete wants to get to, there are fundamental truths that they must embrace. And when we embrace developing the mental, developing the technical, and the lifestyle choices that allow our athletes to be present in the moment to maximize their time spent, we help them become masters. And this is the same process used by the top professionals in every sport. We want to create the conditions so that your athlete is free to excel in every situation, to have the confidence to perform in any environment, and the drive that is only reserved for those who know exactly how to get to their goals. We want to give your athlete the confidence that comes from knowing that they're earning the right to play well through their preparation. That is the only confidence that we can manipulate. And it's the only confidence that is not dependent on anything except our own actions. This is working smart. Put together your own process to perform. Understand your goals, understand your process, and stop worrying about conforming. Focus on development. Don't focus on keeping up. So meet Maddie. Maddie came to the sport late in the game. I know he's still a young kid, but by the time he joined club soccer, his peer group, his teammates had already been involved in intense training for at least 3 years. So when he started in competitive soccer, he's put on the third team. And in some sports like soccer, kids are playing every day. And we know that bad habits can form at a young age if they're not shown the best way to execute, which he wasn't. So he started through the traditional model. He's hiring personal trainers. He's diving into the play-to-pay model. But Matty was vocal about his decision that he just wanted to be more. He was willing to put in the work. And so we helped him learn how to identify his core areas of opportunity. And we used progression stacking to help him stack wins over and over and over in his own training. So he could level up his technique and that transition from technical into actually live play so much faster than a lot of his peer group. And we used cues and affirmations to help him transition the success he was seeing on the playing field into the competitive environments, under the game day. In his second year of competitive soccer, he makes the first team, and now he's starting to try out professional clubs. And guys, are there ups and downs? Of course. I mean, this isn't a clean story for anybody, but having an understanding of what it takes and how to get what you want, from there it just turns into a math equation. What dials do I need to turn? How much dedicated time do I have to put in? And what are the variables that matter most to my success? So I use my own process to perform to help dozens of athletes make more money and create more opportunities for playing at the next level. And we do that by focusing on the attributes in sports that matter the most to their success. And it's not just one thing. It's how the whole system works together and how you can influence the outcome by working smart. So now we're at that point where we know that we must help our own athletes own every aspect of their careers. And we need to embrace the process and not the outcome. And we need to create our own process to perform that allows us to do all of this. We know that you're dealing with a model that isn't aligned with your athlete's success. We know that many families are not making the changes they need to because they're too scared to rock the boat. And they're too scared to go against the grain. Or maybe they just don't know any better. And we know that this model will help you provide the tools your athlete needs, not only to attain the college scholarship or the pro contract, but to excel in any environment you put them in over the long term. And now we want to check out how to create real change while becoming a more intelligent athlete. And this is the blueprint for some of the most successful athletes in the world, and no one is teaching this information at their schools or at their clubs. And they're doing it because they want to completely control the narrative. Quick story, I had a professional coach, I'm talking about a coach of the National Football League. He told me that he only wanted his athletes training when he could coach them. So these professional athletes are getting paid millions of dollars a year. They're providing for their families. They're providing for generational money for their families. They have responsibilities. They're mature. He wanted them to be completely beholden to him for any individual improvement. Now that's insane. But it happens all the time. Because one of the most critical things an athlete needs to learn is how to self-assess. And to do that, we have to break down that complex coach speak. We have to shift our mindset from big, overwhelming ideas into simple structures that we can use to create real change. And we use these big ideas to communicate with our athletes. I always talk about lower pad level, or maybe we're talking about being more accurate with our passing. How can you expect them to excel if they don't know exactly what to correct? These commands are meaningless if you don't know how to get to the root cause issues. Remember, when you're watching your favorite players, when you're watching your Cristiano Ronaldos, when you're watching your Michael Jordans, when you're watching your Sue Birds, when you're watching the best in the world, they're also the best at the basics, at the core fundamentals of the sport. Because the core fundamentals are much easier to identify and correct. If you do that, you're going to have an athlete who understands how to earn the right to play well and understands how to stack wins every day, stacking win after win after win in training sessions, building confidence and building belief in their own process. Most importantly, guys, if you don't deal in simplicity, it takes that much longer to correct areas of opportunity. You get stuck in a rut dealing with one thing for weeks and for months instead of moving on to new problems. And we always want to see new problems, never old problems. Old problems are the ones that continue to hold us back. New problems mean we're moving forward. Now, I can't use the names and likeness of players I worked with in National Football League. I played for 11 years. I've coached and played for over 15 years. Dan was one of the athletes that I worked with. He was 5 years into his career. He was an offensive lineman. And he's struggling with his play height, which means he would come into contact too high, and he was having a hard time getting kind of pushed back off the ball. And he's constantly being coached. So this is the middle of the season. There's a lot of moving parts. And he's constantly just being coached up to play lower. But after all this time in high school, all this time in college, 5 years into the pros, with all the resources that he has, Dan has no idea how to do that effectively. And I know you're thinking, that's crazy. He has millions of dollars in resources. But guys, helping Dan realize that his play height was directly tied to his initial footwork helped us give him one simple idea to focus on. One simple idea that he could focus on in his pre-practice routine, his post-practice routine. Stuff he could work on as he was thinking about how he was going to approach the game. So we worked with him within 2 weeks. His height into contact improved by double-digit percentage points. So think about that, double-digit percentage points. Let's say the average offensive lineman plays 70, 75 plays a game. You're talking 7, 8 plays a game. He's showing improvement. That's a huge number. And the great thing is Dan was able to tie this in with other areas of opportunity and start to create positive change in multiple aspects of his on-field performance. And most importantly, now Dan had a structure to identify, assess, and correct issues at their root cause. This development method literally staves years off your development because you know exactly what you need to improve on. And you don't have to add this to your process. You don't have to find simplicity. But like I said, it can literally take months or even years off of your development schedule. Think about it again. Dan was waiting for years for people to tell him what to do instead of taking control and learning how to find the solution himself. And he's a professional athlete. Now, after learning to be more proactive, an athlete's going to become more curious, they're going to become more focused, and they're going to have a greater sense of control. And I know what you're thinking now, Mike, how do I get from here to there? That all sounds wonderful, but how do I actually get from here to there? Because there's a lot about this structure that I might not be equipped to handle. And remember, guys, the goal is to create real change. And change will not happen if we continually lean on others to fix ourselves. We have to start finding solutions that have real timelines. We don't want to fall into that recurring revenue model. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste resources. And your athlete doesn't need to miss out on opportunities for individual growth. So instead, invest in people, invest in mentors that will challenge your athlete's mindset, They'll help create routines that develop habits and promote ownership of their long-term goals. Find disruptors, not status quo. It's about your mindset. What are the root cause issues we can improve? It's about that information. It's about having a routine. It's about understanding the quality of the time spent and what dials will move the most for your athlete. And ultimately, it's about athlete and the ownership they take and the actions that they're going to use to be the most effective to directly improve on-field performance. Now, guys, ask yourself this question. Are you satisfied with the current plan? Because if you're not, you need a new mindset, you need a better routine, and your athlete needs to take ownership. They probably need a mentor. And we can talk about the lifetime earnings of a scholarship athlete versus a non-scholarship athlete, or the cost of college these days, or what it could be in 5 years. Even about the multiplier in salary that a starter in professional sports gets over a non-starter. But I'm a parent, so I know firsthand. There is no price tag you can put on developing your own process to perform for your athlete. Trusting someone who's not completely invested in giving your athlete their best opportunity, it's crazy out there, guys. I mean, myself, I've personally invested tens of thousands of dollars. I've done that annually in acquiring new information to improve my own ability to perform. I would go out, and every year I'd go out and I'd find somebody new to teach me something, whether it was a different college, different training facility, a different nutritionist. You find these, you develop that curiosity. You start going and searching for your own ways to add to your own process. So today I promise to help your athlete dramatically improve their on-field performance so they can finally chase their best every single game. Promise to give them the tools to increase their confidence and focus while maintaining their own personal style. To make sure that they continue to have a healthy, loving relationship with their sport, even as the stakes continue to rise. We promise to teach your athlete how to supercharge their progress by balancing their lifestyle, and how to do all of this while creating habits that will distance your athlete from the competition and earn them the recognition they desire. And this is what you need to win. Again, a race to ownership. Embrace the process. Use the secret weapon. Use your process to perform your development platform. Find simplicity and invest in a mentor. And now you have a choice. On the one hand, you can continue battling with a broken model and hoping that you get it right. You can keep waiting for the right person to come around and teach your athlete everything they need to know. And you can watch your athlete spend hours and weeks and months of misdirected time. Time that could have been spent on school, on family, wasted on meaningless trainings because they're not present when it's time to improve, because they're not practicing with a purpose. And you can keep focusing on the wrong metrics of success and hope that your athlete doesn't develop an unhealthy relationship with sports. Or you can be confident that knowing your athlete is working towards the best version of themselves. They're focused. They're giving maximum effort. They're giving themselves their best chance to achieve their goals, whether it's a scholarship, whether it's pro contracts. And they have a healthy relationship with what they most love to do. If you want to take command, if creating that total athlete development platform gives you the clarity and control your athlete needs to reach their potential, then I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours to talk with you personally about helping your athlete get to the next level. Whatever your biggest challenges are, we've seen it and we'll help you overcome it. We're going to do 3 things for you. We're going to find clarity on what your real goals are for your athlete. We're going to find the right tools they can use to dramatically level up. And we're going to create a game plan for success, both in the short term and over the long term. And the cost, guys, it's absolutely free. Now, this isn't for everybody. Like I said before, you must have an athlete who has real ambitions to find their best. You must be completely supportive of the work they're willing to put in. And you must be willing to hold them accountable to their dreams. If that's you, if that makes sense, if those resonate with you, book a session now. And you're thinking, Mike, why would you do this? Why would you give us free information? Because again, I'm a parent. Helping athletes is why I got into this business. I was lucky enough to live my dream. I want to help others try to reach their ceilings, try to get to where I got to, get higher than I got to. I know what it takes to become a subject matter expert in this arena. And I'm confident that trying to replicate my work is not an easy task. And I know that you might want my help putting a world-class development platform in place for your athlete? And if so, we can discuss and see if it's a good fit. And if not, that's fine too. Guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. It's been great sharing this information with you. And I just want to share one last story about one of my favorite clients, NFL guy, we'll call him Billy. Small school kid. He had unbelievable work ethic, but he really had very, very little coaching coming in. He had just enough to kind of squeak in as an undrafted free agent. And he had mobility issues. When I say he had mobility issues, like his ankles are completely locked up. He had technical issues. He had no idea how to watch film, no idea how to study his opponent. Worst of all, his mindset was wrong. And even coming from a small school, he just expected the team to help him. And I know you're saying, Mike, of course they expected the team to help him, but he wanted the coaches to spend extra time helping him get leveled up, but they just didn't have the time or maybe even the expertise to spare on a backup player when they're trying to get ready for the season. And so we got together, we started learning about movement, we started learning and working his technical routines into his daily schedule. We started breaking down film to help him not only understand himself, but learn how to exploit opponents. And a couple years later now, Billy's starting. He's signed an 8-figure contract. And most importantly, he has a process to perform. It happens. It happens to a lot of people. You have the opportunity. All right, everyone. Thanks again. Keep working.